mediation. We want to end confidentiality. I would probably say, I don't know what you could do, but I don't want to be your mediator.
It seems like it'd be a real problem for you. You'd wind up being deposed or
absolutely
questioned in
people
some
come
way.
in and they want you now to say what was said. And remember, they're in an argument. They don't even agree. Why would they agree as to what you said? I should say, when I do mediation, these people aren't seeing the agreement for the first time and it's being a surprise. We may have gone over it together. We may say, okay, does everybody understand? We have an understanding. And then I'll probably write a letter saying, I know you haven't seen it in writing before, but this is what we've done. I call it a settlement outline letter. So I want your blessing. I get the blessing, yes? Then it might get changed into more formal legal work. And then I'll sit down with them, or I'll recommend they go to a lawyer and go over it carefully so everybody knows what's doing. It's not sprung at them at the last moment. And if there's 10 things they've agreed to and one more uncertainty, I know most mediators say, you've agreed to 10 out of 11, this is still one item. Do you agree to the 10, or is the agreement as a 10 contingent on the 11? They know. It's the problem when they fight, they forget. And it's the same thing in a divorce case. Two wonderful people go to a divorce case and they're at their worst. Nothing that happened in the marriage is viewed exactly the same. And fault gets transferred. It's the besides it not being their fault, it's the judge's fault, it's the mediator's fault, it's the neighbor's fault.
It's the other lawyer's fault.
Yeah, and that's what we're dealing with. So I tried to make it clear, and I know that judges in a rent-a-judge or in a mediation or a settlement conference, they too say, do you understand? Do you understand? And you usually get a yes. It's the next day when it changes to maybe, and gee, I didn't understand anything.
It's the drive home that's the problem.
Or sometimes they have agreed to something, and it's, for example, there's an assumption that's happening. I'll agree to that. I just want peace, and thinking that certain things are going to change, and then, for example, somebody else has a different idea. Geez, I didn't know you were going to get remarried right away, or I didn't know you were going to move to San Francisco right away. I mean, that is not a part of the agreement, but they just assumed it so, and all of a sudden what they thought they were getting is not what they're getting. And that causes it to break down.
We've got like 5 minutes, so I want to say, as a layman, this is what I've taken away from this at this point. This is pretty good. Something Mr. Rosenfeld said in the very beginning I find very interesting, is that when you go to court at a hearing or trial, there's an end to that. And in mediation, it can go on forever and ever. As a matter of fact, I think there's some cases that I've heard of in trial forever and ever as far as I'm concerned. I mean, 12 years. I mean, they've been divorced and it's post-judgment and they're still fighting over, I know that money was hidden in the backyard in the third house somewhere, dig it up, you know. But, and like I said, I've carried away that Mr. Rosenfeld won't talk no matter what. So that's great. I know who to call if I need somebody who won't say anything about it. And
might need to buy a shovel.
Oh,
yeah, that might be a good first start.
But with everything that's been said and done, in mediation, everything is confidential. In rent-a-judge, you are basing it more upon the law and what would happen if you did go to trial. It's the first time I could buy a judge and it would be legal.
Somebody said, you know, both sides have to agree to buy him.
Okay, I like that.
What type of things should parties look for in choosing a good mediator?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I would say you need someone that you have trust in, and you need someone who is skilled in the area. Now, incidentally, a mediator does not have to be legally trained. If you want, if the issue is accounting, you may it may well need a CPA. But you need someone that you can have trust in, who will spend the time to get the facts out, to give you some idea about the consequences if you don't reach an agreement, can tell you about the advantages of the agreement. Obviously, one of the advantages in mediation is it's generally a whole lot cheaper than litigating. Right. Some of the disadvantages is if you mediate early, is there may be things that you didn't know about or consequences you didn't really anticipate. That can be a problem. But by and large, your best mediations, I think, occur when you're running against two people, and you're talking about a family law situation, who understand the economics of it, both sides. If one side has made the money and the other side has not, that's often a poor place to mediate, because there's an impower balance. But if both sides understand it, it's a great way to go, because you can dispose of sometimes enormous sums of money, and the financial consequences of it are minimal, and because that's minimal, often the emotional consequences are minimal as well.
You know, when I said that the mediations are generally with the neutral person and the two parties, that doesn't mean that in the mediation itself, those are the only people there. So I might, if there's a custody issue or a child issue that I feel inadequate to deal with, I might bring in a therapist, someone who's an expert. They become part of the mediation. A financial issue or a tax issue, I'll bring in a tax person. And similarly, a lot of cases people have a long-time accountant, CPA, or a financial manager. They then become part of the mediation, and the people trust these people, and they can try to close down each issue as we go along, whether I can assist them or not. And there's a problem in mediation because, as Judge Denner said, you don't have to be licensed. I think the best mediators, of course, are family lawyers in a divorce case, but it doesn't have to be that way.
I'm getting that wrap it up sign. Okay, so Mr. Klopert, you're the certified family law specialist. We've got a wonderful mediator and an attorney and a wonderful judge, retired. What's your last word on this?
I think that people should give very good consideration to mediation and rent-a judging when it's appropriate. And it's probably a good way to keep the peace or try to get some peace back on the table.
Okay. Spoken from the certified family law specialist himself. Join us next week on The Answer of the Lips. Thank you for being here today. There's a contact number at the end of the show. Once again, we've got a piece of Beverly Hills in the Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call if you'd like to get in touch with any of these gentlemen. They're accessible.